All right, there we go. We are live. Thank you once again to everybody for joining us for this session of planning your plan B here in Belize. I understand it is a chaotic time around the world, specifically in the United States right now. And I can tell you that we have received so many calls and messages and emails today about people who want to talk seriously about coming down to Belize to enjoy life. I've been here for 12 years, and I can tell you that it is a very relaxing place to just escape the chaos. Here, we really don't talk about politics. We just talk about where we're going to go for dinner or what we're going to do this weekend or which catamaran we're going to be enjoying the sunset from. So this is really the place where if you are looking to unwind and just get away from everything, it is the great place for that. So in 2012, I moved down to Belize. My name is Rachel Jensen, by the way. I'm the broker owner of Luna Realty. But in 2012, I moved down to Belize with a real estate developer. So I moved down here for work. And I can tell you at that time when I was working with the developer, he's like, when you're going to go to Belize, you're going to be there for a couple of weeks. I had no idea where Belize was. I couldn't even pinpoint it on a map. I went to Google, typed Ambergris Key into Google, and loved the images that I saw. From there, when I got on the plane, landed here on the island here on Ambergris Key, it was just even better than I imagined, even better than the pictures. What you cannot tell from pictures and even videos is how incredibly friendly people are. So a lot of times when people come down here to Belize and they come down maybe just from a vacation standpoint, a lot of times they don't end up leaving, or they find ways to make it possible for them to stay for longer periods of time or continue to come back. A lot of that is primarily because of the people. 2020, I joined the Belize Real Estate Board here. In 2022, I started Luna Realty. So I left the real estate developer, started Luna Realty Belize. And then in 2023, had a little Belizean baby who is about to turn 1. So my life is here in Belize, and I am so happy to be able to talk to you about this wonderful country because there is a lot for us to discuss. So over the next, I would say 30 to 45 minutes, we're going to be talking about why Belize. We're going to be talking about why people are coming here and why it's an attractive country. In addition to that, I have 3 top tips for foreigners. These are things that are really important for you to know to help set expectations before spending more time here in Belize. And then the last part is we're going to talk about owning Belize or owning real estate here in Belize as a foreigner. We're going to take a deeper dive into the real estate market. Again, we're going to be going through questions and answers at the end of the session. So find that Q&A section on the control panel. And as you have questions, feel free to type it in. So welcome to Belize. Welcome to the place that I call home. It is a very beautiful, charming Caribbean country that has a unique Latino charm, something you don't tend to find in many of the Caribbean destinations here. This is also the only country in Central America where English is the official language. Population-wise, it's small. It's about 400,000 people, and this is the second smallest country within Central America. Currency, we are pegged to the US dollar, $1 to 2 Belize dollars. So you go into the grocery store, you get a bag of chips for 10 Belize dollars, cut that in half, and you are at $5. So right now we're seeing that more eyes have been on Belize, especially over the last 5-6 years, as more direct flights have started coming into the country. We are continuously seeing more flights being added to the flight routes, which is really exciting, giving more access to people of getting here to the country. You can see here on the map, we're nestled in between Guatemala and Mexico, and these are just a handful of the flights that are currently flying direct. 3 new flights that were just added is direct from Baltimore with JetBlue, direct from New York City on JetBlue, and then also San Francisco for our friends in California. You will have an easier time getting here, and you won't have to necessarily have that layover that you've had to have before where you spend the night in Texas. So we're excited about this. There are continuously more flights coming. We do also have direct flights from Canada. So Calgary just started up again, that's seasonal, and then also direct flights from Toronto. So making it easy for our Canadian friends to get here too. So let's just jump right in and talk about why Belize. We're going to talk about who's coming here, what you need to know if you're planning to spend more time here, and then also a couple of real estate advantages for foreigners. So first and foremost, who is spending time in Belize? And this could be people who are planning to be down here for 6 months a year, people who are planning to pick up everything they own and relocate. It really is a hodgepodge of a country. Now, there are about 8-9 different cultures here in Belize already. We have the Latinos, we have the Mayans, we have Mennonites, which sometimes surprises people. We have Lebanese, we have Chinese. It really is a big melting pot, small country, but a big melting pot of many different cultures. Adding to that melting pot is the expat population, primarily North Americans at the time, although we do have a bunch of British expats as well. Within that expat community, there is a variety of people who are coming here. So we have entrepreneurs, people who aren't yet ready to retire, but are looking to either start a business, take over a business, or looking to do something in order to continue bringing the money in. We, of course, have the retirees, digital nomads who can pop open their laptop and work from anywhere, snowbirds and second homeowners who are coming down for part of the year, maybe not full-time yet, families. This is actually growing quite a bit, has been growing quite a bit over the last 5 to 6 years. It's not just the older folks who are coming down to Belize, it's people who have families, kids who want to give their kids a different lifestyle, come down. You know, the kids, you'll see kids when you come down here just running around on the beach, laughing, being free, something that I know in the States we're seeing far less of these days. Now, in addition to that, Belize, because of our location and proximity to the reef, we tend to see a lot of divers, fishermen, boaters, people who really enjoy that outdoor landscape. And then, of course, I'm guessing why many of you are on the line right now is those who are trying to just escape the chaos, go somewhere where you can truly just unwind, not think about what's going on politically, and have a relaxing lifestyle. And then, of course, last but not least, those who are charmed by the Caribbean. You do see it down here with the turquoise blue waters and the colorful buildings and smiling people. It is just something that brings and keeps many, many people down here. So I'm going to jump into our first topic today, which is the lifestyle must-knows. So if you're planning to spend time here in Belize, then these are going to be really important topics for you to know. Now, we're just doing a quick overview because I could be here for hours. I know many of you don't have hours to sit here and listen to me. So what we're going to do is break it down. If you want more information, I'm going to be posting this up on YouTube later, and I'll put in the description below the links to topics and conversations that we have longer versions of. So in this case, the residency, visa, citizenship, I have an entire webinar on this with an attorney. I'll be sending that out for those who are interested. But let's first talk about visas. So when you come into the country as a tourist, you receive a 30-day tourist stamp in your passport. This is renewable every 30 days, and it's $100 US per person. So you can come down here in Belize and you can essentially be on this tourist visa forever. I know people who've been down here for 5, 6 years, and every month they're going to the immigration office and they're renewing their visa. Now, there are reasons why people are doing that. Sometimes they don't meet the requirements for the residency. Sometimes they're too lazy to submit their documents for the residency, or they're just coming and go and life's a little chaotic for them to even think about it. But you can come down here as a property owner, as somebody who's just spending time here with a long-term rental. You can go into the immigration office. There's one here in San Pedro and Ambergris Caye, and just get that passport stamped for another 30 days at a time. If you're thinking more seriously about spending time here and you want to get that residency, there are a few different residency options that you can consider. So one of the most popular one is the permanent residency. With permanent residency, you can apply after being here in Belize for 50 out of 52 weeks. Once you meet that requirement, you're able to submit your paperwork. You have to show that you have a clear background report. And it typically takes about 6 to 8 months for you to get approval of that residency. But after that 50 to 52 week timeline is met, then you can, of course, come and go into the country as you please once your paperwork is submitted. So just a heads up there. Now, this one, permanent residency, does tend to be the most popular because it can lead to citizenship down the line. Citizenship, like the passport, this permanent residency is essentially like a green card. It gives you permission to be here. You can work while you're in country. It's actually a lot easier to get things done, like opening up bank accounts, doing all those lifestyle things is, I can tell you, a tremendous amount easier if you have permanent residency. So again, you can apply after being here in Belize for 50 out of 52 weeks. And a lot of times you'll find with residencies and citizenships is either time or money. Right? There tends to be a program where you can do time where you're spending a lot, or if you have the funds, if you're spending a lot time-wise or spending a lot money-wise. So here in Belize, they have the option of you're spending time here in the country. The other program is the Qualified Retired Persons Program, the QRP program, and you are eligible to apply for this if you are receiving about $2,000 a month. It needs to be from retirement funds, from investment property, basically supporting that you are making an income from passive investments, from Social Security, whatever it is. It cannot be $2,000 from an active job. You have to be 45 years or older as well. Once you have this QRP, or once you apply for the QRP, It only takes about 2 or 3 weeks to get approved for the QRP program. And then from there, it's an annual renewal. So you have to renew it every year. The last one is the digital nomad visa. If this is something that you're interested in, we can send you more information, of course. Again, this is just a snapshot. I do have a much longer version of the residencies and all the requirements that we can certainly send to you if this is something that you want to learn more about. But it is reassuring to know that there are programs, there are options for you if you do want something that's a little bit more permanent than just the tourist visa. So let's say you're on the citizenship path, you're looking for a passport. You can apply for your citizenship after having that permanent residency here in Belize for 5 years. After your 5th year, you can apply for your citizenship. It does take a couple of years. It does take about 2 to 3 years for you to get approved and to go through the process of getting that nationality and the passport. It's possible. It is absolutely possible, though. The other option is that you can apply after 1 year of being married to a Belizean. So that may work for some people. And then there's also citizenship by descent. So if your parent is Belizean, or if you have a grandparent, there are certain other boxes that you have to check, but that could be another option as well. So it is certainly possible to get citizenship here, but if that is your ultimate goal, then you'll want to go that permanent residency route from the get-go. All right, let's talk about the second topic. We get this requested a lot, is the banking here in Belize. So there are a few local banks here in Belize. They have branches all throughout the country: Atlantic Bank, Heritage Bank, and Belize Bank. However, it's not necessarily required for you to open a bank account here if you're living here. In fact, it sometimes is more effort than is needed. You do need to actually go in person with a handful of paperwork to be able to submit, sit down. They don't typically take appointments, so you can spend all day in the bank. It is a little archaic, but it is an option if that is something that's really important to you. What I would say is that credit cards, though, are widely accepted at restaurants and golf cart rentals and shops around the country. So it's not necessarily required for you to have a bank account here. If you're long-term renting, then you can typically pay with a US credit card, or if you want to go to the ATM, you can get cash out. But what I would recommend is, before trying to jump into all of the banking, it's chaotic. It took me 7 years here in Belize to finally get and open up a bank account. But what I would recommend is, if you are somebody who likes to have cash and have access to cash, then get a debit card in your home country that doesn't charge you ATM fees or conversion fees. There are a couple of banks in the States that have debit cards like that. So I can send you, if you're interested in that, I can send you the names. Just feel free to email me, but that could be an option for you, at least to be able to have access to cash. But again, rentals, you'll be able to typically pay with a card. In addition to that, if you have utility bills like electricity or water, you can also pay those with a credit card too. So you don't necessarily need to have a local bank account. And again, it took me 7 years here before I finally said, yeah, I should probably open one, just to be able to get to the ATMs a little bit easier, but it's not really required. Been able to make it work quite successfully without that account beforehand. In addition to that, getting around. So this is a big conversation topic if you're planning to spend time here in the country, because getting around isn't necessarily as easy as it is in North America. We don't have Uber down here. You know, a lot of times it does tend to be relationships with cab drivers, or on the island, I'm on Ambergris Key right now. We drive golf carts. Golf carts is the primary mode of transportation. It's not uncommon to see people hitchhiking, but if you want to be spending more time here, then you probably would want to be considering how it is you're going to be getting around, where in town you're going to be living, or where on the island you're going to be living, to see how accessible it is. And if you are looking at a golf cart, I have a whole other session on this and getting permits for golf carts, but take it slow. You don't need to rush into spending time here or rush into getting everything done before you get down here. You can typically figure it out and get those boxes checked as you're here in country. And a lot of times it's actually easier to do it when you're here in person and can go to the different golf cart companies or meet them in person. There's just a big relationship culture here in the country. If you're on the mainland, I do also have a bus that you're able to use that goes throughout the country, and car rentals. So Crystal Car is a car company that I would recommend, Crystal. They do monthly rentals. So if you're not necessarily ready to start purchasing vehicles, which, you know, I wouldn't do, take your time, right? You don't need to have everything done before coming down, but that can be a way for you to get started. So there are a handful of reasons why people are looking at Belize and specifically looking at real estate here. one of the big advantages is that foreigners receive title. So you receive title to the property. Doesn't matter if you're a local, it doesn't matter if you're a foreigner, you have the same rights. In addition to that, there are other advantages. So for example, there is 0% capital gains tax. Your rental income tax here on rental real estate is very, very low at 1.75%. In addition to that, property taxes are very low for a plot of land. Let's say 50 by 100, you're typically looking at $75 to $125 US per year. If you have a finished home or condo, it can be anywhere from about $300 to $1,000 US dollars per year, not per month, that's per year. So you do tend to have very low ongoing fees. In addition to that, if you're somebody who's maybe thinking about this from more of an investment perspective, you have IRA money, you can certainly use your self-directed IRA to invest in rental property here in the country. So they do tend to make it quite easy for foreigners to own real estate here. I used to work all throughout the region, the Latin American region, and do continue to see that people gravitate towards Belize as they're starting their international real estate journey. Of course, the English certainly helps, English being the official language, and because of the attractive real estate benefits, as we can see here on the screen. So with that, let's just jump into part two. So part two, actually I'm going to go back and recap for a second because these are important things to remember. So when you're thinking about lifestyle, consider how much time you want to be spending here, what your main goal is, what your long-term goal is, because that will help determine if you're going for the residency, if at some point you want to go for citizenship, or perhaps you just want to stay here as a tourist for a while and see if it's a place that works for you, then you can be on that tourist visa here that's renewable every 30 days. In addition to that, with banking, you don't need to jump right in. In fact, I wouldn't recommend jumping right into banking. It may frustrate you. You'll spend a lot of time waiting in lines just for the bank to tell you that you need to bring one more document to the appointment or for your next visit where you're standing in line and waiting. So don't rush into that, but just get a debit card that will allow you to take out money from any ATM, and then getting around, various ways to be getting around Belize here. And these are the most common. So again, you don't need to jump into buying a vehicle. In fact, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't recommend buying a vehicle before coming down. Come on down and see your options when you get here. All right, so let's talk about these tips. These are super, super important for expats who are coming here to Belize. And the first and foremost is let go of any expectations you have. I can tell you life in Belize it's truly wonderful, right? It's very stressless, right? Compared to the States and compared to what's going on in the States. Like we don't sit around and talk about politics here. It's just not something that happens. Instead, we're going out and enjoying fishing on the reef or taking golf cart rides around town or going to the different pools. And it's just a very laid back atmosphere. And what we tend to see is that many people need some time to decompress after they make that move from North America. But just remember, if you're moving from your home country, that you are going to be moving to a developing nation. Things are different here. Don't try to move to Belize to change what Belize is, because Belize has been operating just fine otherwise. But do remember it's a developing nation. So you're going to have to take a step back. You're going to have to pack your patience. That was one of the best pieces of advice I had before I moved down here. Pack your patience. Infrastructure is still developing. So don't expect roads to be paved all over the country. In some places it's graded. In some places it's potholes. You do expect for roads to flood during rainy season. It's what happens. You'll go to a government office many, many times before accomplishing your goals, and it is beyond frustrating. I will tell you that from experience. We're working on our son's Belizean paperwork. This is our home. My husband's Belizean. So you would imagine that getting his Belizean nationality would be a piece of cake. It was a piece of cake in Mexico. It was a piece of cake for him to get his US paperwork. But here in Belize, we're waiting on over 6 months for him to get his nationality. You know what? It is what it is. We have a stamp that validates him and allows him to be here legally. When we get it, we get it. But I can tell you that process of going to the office and every time all right, we need one more document. We need one more document. Finally, we came way too over prepared and gave them everything and they didn't ask us for anything else. So that's the best tip that I'm going to give you. Just go over prepared to any of these offices. In addition to that, this one always makes me laugh, is that the food at the grocery store will be sold and it will likely be expired, or in many cases is going to be expired. I know on those Facebook chats, there's a lot of expats and people who are tourists who are coming down like, oh my gosh, don't go to this grocery store. They're selling expired food. Well, if that's a concern for you, then don't go to any of the grocery stores because you are bound to find at least one item on the shelf that's going to be expired. What you just have to do is check the expiration date before you buy it because you're not going to be able to return it. But these little things are going to take a little bit of time to adjust. But at the end of the day, it's like, all right, well, what's the big deal? You know, you're looking at it. I can tell you now, like I said, oh no, I'm not gonna touch that if it's expired. I'm like, cookies, 2 months expired, they're processed anyway, no big deal. I'll just get this. They're on discount anyway. Put them in the cart, right? But you just learn to realize what's important and what's not. I will tell you, in addition to that, Belize time is real. Belize time is real. You know, if someone tells you, and there's a great example of this, my partner just had his 40th birthday a few months ago. And the party started at 8 p.m. His birthday party started at 8 p.m. We had it at his bar. So, you know, we showed up maybe around 8:15, 8:30. I'm like, we should probably get there on time. We should probably get there on time. The only people that were there before us were our expat friends. And then, you know, around 9 o'clock, 9:30, none of the Belizean friends have showed up at this point. I'm like, oh my gosh, does my husband have friends? Like maybe they're not really his friends. Maybe they don't really like him. Around 10 o'clock, 10:30, they all start showing up. They're all dolled up and, you know, look beautiful, have their hair done and a nice outfit. And it's just to be expected, right? If your party's going to says it starts at 8, expect people to start showing up around 10. Now, and then also the other term that you'll hear quite a bit is the right now phrase. I know we take that pretty literally as Americans, but as you spend more time here, you just understand that it's a phrase that's all right, I'll get to it when I get to it. So again, a little bit of expectations for you to be prepared for, but also let go of your expectations of what you, especially if you're trying to compare it to your developed country. In addition to this, you know, just take your time. And we were starting to allude to that is you don't have to ship everything down right away. You'll get to know people before trusting them, before giving them money, before, you know, allowing them access into your home. People here are very, very friendly. And most people, I will tell you, most people here are really incredible, genuine human beings. But in many cases, if we weren't here in this beautiful Caribbean country, we wouldn't necessarily be trusting anybody that we meet that tells us that they can help us. So take your time. You know, you don't have to ship everything right away. Put it in a storage container for a little bit. Come down here, meet people, connect with people, talk with people. It's a very much so a very open, friendly culture, and you'll have no problem just meeting folks. In addition to that, I would say understand the process for things, but just also accept that it may not be followed. You know, it's important for you to know, let's say you're going through your residency process. It's important for you to know what the process looks like. At what stage you need to do this, at what stage you need to submit this, but understand that it may be out of order. It may be more time than they told you it was going to be. It may be less time than they told you that it was going to be. But a lot of times it's a very relationship-based environment here. And that's why I always recommend getting to know the people that you're going to be doing business with. Last but not least, this is one of my top tips for foreign buyers who are coming in. It's just practice due diligence when you're buying real estate here in the country. So I sit on the board for the Real Estate Association here in Belize, and right now we do not have licensing. We don't have licensing for real estate agents. And so what that means is, yes, what it really means is everyone in the country is acting like a real estate agent, you know, so you'll be talking to your cab driver and they're saying, oh, I got this great property that's for sale. And, you know, maybe they heard their uncle talk about it and their uncle is promoting it for his friend who's really, it's his nephews, but oh, they actually sold it, but they forgot to tell the cab driver. So it's just really important for you to practice due diligence and don't get that margarita madness. A lot of times people come down to Belize, you know, it's beautiful. It's a charming, inviting, warming, welcoming country, but you just take that step back and make sure you're checking the boxes before buying real estate. So there are due diligence things that you can do, and really and truly, it is going to be up to you to do your homework before you purchase property here. So first and foremost, you're going to have, there's typically a closing company, an escrow company that you're going to be working with when you identify property that's right for you. If you're getting into deals that they want to just work with the sellers, or you don't have, or they don't talk to you about having a closing and escrow company, I would run for the hills, because this closing company, it's a third party that is not associated with either side, right? They're just there as a third party verifying information and making sure all documents are in order. So they can help you with a title search, right? They're able to help and make sure that you're getting a land survey. Also, your real estate agent should be helping you to get an inspection done for any property that's done. And then, of course, see the property in person see the property in person if you're able to. I understand with our schedules, holidays coming up, we're not always able to just hop on a plane. Zoom is a great way to also see properties if you're not able to see it in person. You know, especially when you're looking at pictures of real estate, a lot of times the pictures will just focus on the house or the condo or the lot. But what else is around the lot? That's where Google Earth comes in and really is quite handy. But doing a Zoom call with your agent, being able to walk through the property, walk this way, walk that way, ask them for drone photos if you can't see it in person, because it's really important for you to know what else is around that property. All right, everyone, find that Q&A section of your control panel. Find that Q&A section of your control panel, because I do have a quick bonus for you. So in what year did Belize gain its independence from Belize? The first person to type it into the Q&A section is going to win a free prize from us that we're going to be mailing to your house directly. So find that Q&A section and type in what year Belize gained its independence from. All right, and we see here James Sweat. James Sweat, you are indeed the winner. Belize achieved its independence in 1981 from Belize. So as you can see, Belize is still a very young country. They're still figuring out a lot of things that maybe other more developed countries have. But at this point, you know, it is still a young nation, which also means there's also a lot of opportunity here. So James, I don't know if you're still here in Belize. I know you were living here on Ambergris Caye for a bit. If you're still here, just shoot me a message and we'll get the prize over to you. It's going to be a complimentary big bottle of Marie Sharp's hot sauce. Marie Sharp's is the best hot sauce in the world. I may be biased because it is a Belizean product, but it really is delicious. It adds just that little bit of zing to your food without taking away the flavor. So I will get that over to you. Congratulations congratulations. Sorry, I just saw a question from James. All right, so yes, in 1981, Belize gained its independence from England. So very exciting. All right, let's jump into part 3 there. And this is going to be top places to explore throughout the country. So this picture, obviously, it's a map of Belize. It's a small country, like we talked about, population about 400,000. And then size-wise, it's about the size of Massachusetts. However, each area feels so different than the others. So sometimes we're like, all right, we know we want to come down to Belize. Okay, that's good. That's step 1, but where in Belize? What's really important to you? So we're going to break it down a little bit further and explain to you a couple of the areas. And then from there, you can see if any of these would be of interest. So the first area, we're going to start at the top of the map and then work our way down, is Corozal. That's where you see that maroon pin over there. Corozal is a district. The town is right there on the border of Mexico. And you do tend to have more retirement communities here. It tends to be very quiet. But it is a big retirement area because of the proximity to Mexico. You're just 15 minutes from the Mexican border. So we tend to have better medical care there in Mexico. And if that's something that's important to folks, then they'll be able to hop over the border very quickly. But it's on the Bay of Chetumal. So it is that beautiful blue waters as well. But it does tend to be more of a quiet fishing village. The second areas are Ambergris Caye and Caye Caulker. Ambergris Caye and Caye Caulker. I'd say Ambergris Caye tends to be referred to as the Key West of Belize. It's colorful, it's charming, it's walkable. Caye Caulker is like the sister island to Ambergris Caye. It's a much smaller version. It's about 2,000 people. The motto of Caye Caulker is "Go slow." So it is a place where it's like the definition of true island living, quiet. Not many golf carts that are there, but Ambergris Caye tends to be the biggest spot in the country for tourism, and also it's home to a very, very large expat population. So this is the area where we tend to see most expats are gravitating to, Ambergris Caye, because it has the amenities, it has the facilities, it has a handful of different types of restaurants, there's activities, there's live music, there are things to do for people who want to be relocating here. The Cayo district, that is where you see the dark green pin. This is a very popular area for people who are thinking about acreage. So if you're somebody who wants a farm or a garden, or even just a couple of acres with greenery and lush, fertile soil, Cayo would likely be the place that you're looking at. The primary town there is San Ignacio and Santa Elena, and then Belmopan, the capital, is also located here in the Cayo district. So great area for those who want to be in the jungle. You have rivers, rolling hills, really, really stunning part of the country. Again, if you're thinking gardens, farming, agriculture, Cayo would be where you would be looking. Cayo is also the district that is home to Spanish Lookout. Spanish Lookout is the largest Mennonite community within Belize, and that's where you tend to find a lot of produce, agriculture, cattle also being raised in Spanish Lookout. In addition to that, it's Hopkins. Hopkins is that light blue pin. This is an up and coming area, I would say, that's really known for the Garifuna influence. River properties, beach properties here as well. It's a small village. So if you're somebody who's looking for more of that small town feel, but still be on the mainland and have the water access, this could be a place for you. Last but not least is Placencia. Placencia is that dark blue pin. And I often refer to Placencia as like the Hamptons of Belize. It's a coastal fishing village where you tend to find larger single family homes. You have more marinas, larger boats there, because on Ambergris Key and Key Cocker, they parallel the reef. They're very, very close to the reef, which is where a lot of the fishing and diving and snorkeling are happening. So you can't necessarily bring those huge mega boats into these keys. But if people are interested in bringing their big boats to Belize, they tend to end up here in Placencia. So as a result, real estate prices tend to be more expensive there, and you do tend to find more single family homes. And then of course, where you see that star, that is Belize City. And Belize City is where the only international airport is for the entire country. So if you're coming down, you'll be flying into Belize City, and then from there, getting out to the destinations. So we're going to talk about the two most popular areas, Cayo District and San Pedro, which is Ambergris Key. And I do like to talk about these two areas because this is where we tend to see a majority of people are looking. If you're not looking in either of these two areas, that's okay too. Just shoot us a message and we'll be happy to talk to you more about the other areas, but San Pedro and Cayo District. So San Pedro is the town, the primary town on Ambergris Key. So you'll tend to hear those two names used interchangeably. But we're able to see in 2023, that Cayo District saw about 66,000 tourists, visitors, and San Pedro saw about double that at 128. So when you look here on the bottom part of the cumulative numbers of people visiting in 2023, you do see that these were the two areas that continued to be the most visited. So we did pull the numbers. This is all from the Belize Tourism Board, by the way. We pulled the numbers for 2024. I'd say year to date, but it really just goes up to September. This is all that they had available as of yesterday. But we do see here that Cayo District continues to be one of the most visited areas. And then San Pedro, of course, they're already at the numbers, you know, as of the end of September that we saw last year. Last year, total was 128. Here, we're already at 124,000 visitors to San Pedro Ambergris Key. So with that, we're going to talk about these two districts a little bit in greater detail. And then also have a few insider opportunities that I'm going to be sharing with you just depending on what it is you're looking to accomplish. But again, the Cayo District is comprised of a handful of different towns and villages. Population of the entire district is about 100,000. But you have towns like San Ignacio, Santa Elena, Spanish Lookout, which is what I was mentioning to you as the Mennonite town, San Antonio, Belmopan, which is where the capital is, and that is where you have the U.S. Embassy. So this area, like we were mentioning, it's known for the outdoor activities, the farming, the agriculture, tons of Mayan ruins in the site, cave tubing, zip lining, hiking, Mountain Pine Ridge, which is a beautiful part of the country with pine trees. And it just feels like you're in a completely different country. There's one golf course over here in the Cayo District as well. And if you do spend time here, you want to make sure you're checking out the ATM cave. It is a cave that the Mayans inhabited way back when, many, many moons ago. And you're still able to see some of the Mayan artifacts there in that cave. It's a truly tremendous trip. But I did want to talk to you about a couple of the opportunities there. This one we tend to see is very popular for folks who are looking at being in an off-grid planned community. Carmelita Gardens is located about 7 miles from San Ignacio, 7 miles from Spanish Lookout. It's in a really great location, so easy to get to both of those big towns. And there's also no build timeline requirement. So if you're somebody and it's important for you to be close to the river or on a river, if it's important for you to have your own land, to have fertile land, then this could be an area that you may want to be considering. They have really affordable lots here starting at $39,000 and really attractive financing, 80% financing, 8-year term, 8% interest. And when you start breaking down the numbers, it only takes about $7,800 to get started. But what I really like about this property is the fact that they have lots starting from 1/8 of an acre up to 1/2 an acre, again, on the river or on the gardens, and you're able to get in with really, really attractive financing. So even if you're not sure what you want to do, but you know you want to start with something, this could be a great option, a great place for you. If any of these opportunities are of interest to you, please do email us info@lunarealtybelize.com with the number and then the opportunity name right there underneath where it says insider opportunities, and we can certainly get you those details. Now, if you're looking for something that's move-in ready, you're saying, you know what, I know this is where I want to be, I don't need to waste any more time, then this is a completely off-grid riverfront home in Carmelita Gardens as well. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. It's on the Belize River, has a third of an acre of land, and it's just a really cute, like quintessential, I would say, riverfront home. And you do tend to find that a lot of these properties that are being sold fully furnished. This one is no exception to that. And this one I find very affordable at $252,000. But again, right on the river, totally off grid, comes with all of the solar, comes with cistern, everything is ready to go and just ready for somebody to move in. Or of course you can rent it out too. If that's something you're not quite ready to be here yet, then this could be a good option for you. The third property in the Cayo district I want to mention to you is a property that I think has some really unique characteristics. I love the tile. You can see the clay tile there. That's on the outdoor screened-in veranda, but it was made and laid by a local person in the Cayo district. But you can just see it is just really, really beautiful. But this one is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and it has a spacious loft upstairs as well. It's essentially a brand new home. The seller finished it in 2023. Her life plans changed. She is going to be traveling the world now instead of staying in Belize. And so she's going to be selling hers fully furnished, and it's ready to either rent out or live in. And this one's going for $355,000. And do note that these prices include the land and the home that is on it. So again, very affordable for a property of this caliber, built with Coventech, solar, cistern, everything included in that. I'm going to jump now to Ambergris Caye. Ambergris Caye has that primary town of San Pedro. So again, that's why you tend to hear the words San Pedro and Ambergris Caye used interchangeably. But Ambergris Caye is indeed an island. We parallel the reef. It's the largest living reef in the world. So you tend to find a lot of people who are coming out for diving and snorkeling and fishing and just enjoying the outdoors and the waters. Now, even if you're not necessarily a water bug, you don't need to be. Honestly, I don't remember the last time I went swimming in the Caribbean. I like to go in pools, but I like to look at the Caribbean. You know, it's beautiful and it's nice to see it out there. It's nice to see the boats pass and people kiteboarding and paddleboarding and do all of that. Seafood is incredible out here, but this tends to be the hub for tourism in the country and also the hub for expats. So if you're spending time out here or you're planning to come out here to visit, I would highly recommend you do Holchan and Shark Rally. That's a snorkel trip. You go to 2 different popular sites right off of the coast, and you just see an abundant amount of marine life and colorful marine life as well. This is the first place I remember my partner saw a turtle ever who was at Holchan. So I thought that was pretty fascinating. In addition to that, the food tour, this is a great introduction into the local food, into the local restaurants here in country. And this is something I recommend people do when they first get here so that they can see where some of these local hotspots are that you may have never tried if you didn't go on the tour. All right, so let's talk about a couple of opportunities. This is if you're, again, looking to land bank, buy now and hold, buy now, build later. If you're not sure what you want to do, but you just want to start with something on Ambergris Caye, this is probably one of the most affordable options that is located in the Path of Progress. It's located about 8.5 miles north, your 5-minute drive to the Caribbean, 5-minute drive to the lagoon. And this is something, if you are going to buy and hold and flip it later, I'd recommend holding on for about 3 to 5 years minimum and then selling there. Now, the developer is offering special financing on these lots for 50% financing. She also did tell me before doing this that for one of the lots, lot number 22 in phase 2, she'll offer it for $49,900. I apologize, I didn't have time to put it into the presentation, but that was specifically for this webinar today. So just note that there is a special for those people who maybe have been doing their research a little bit more previously and are ready to jump in. But this is located at Platinum Point subdivision, about 8.5 miles north of Ambergris Caye, close to Sapphire Beach Resort, and only about 4 miles south of the Margaritaville. So you can see here the numbers broken down a little bit more. So you put down about 28,000 just to round up, and then your monthly payments over that 5-year period would be $556.59. So again, just a great, easy way to jump in. If you're looking, maybe you've been here before, or maybe you want to be like looking right out at that turquoise waters, Secret Beach is a very popular destination for both tourists and locals alike. It's the place that you're going when you just want to be looking right out and seeing the calm, serene turquoise. So turquoise waters. And there is a new condo project at Secret Beach. It's opening in early 2025. It's just a few months away from opening, actually. So you're able to come in and secure your condo there if this is something that is of interest. Something else to note about this property is completely off-grid. So solar, cistern, everything is already incorporated into the building here. On the screen, you'll see the special webinar price. If you look on our website, you will see that these prices are higher for these first floor units, but the first floor studio going for $299. On the website, it says $349, and then the one bedroom going for $499 again, or going for $399, but on the website, you'll see it going for $499. So these are just specials for our group today, just to say thank you for joining us, and also to be really getting in on ground level of some really exciting projects that are happening here in Belize and on Ambergris Caye. Now, if you're somebody who is looking more for an investment, and then maybe you'll spend some time here later, then there's a great duplex model that is pre-construction. Pre-construction, I do tend to see is a great way to have appreciation, especially if there are future phases where they'll be increasing the prices. But this one, it's a duplex, so two essentially for the price of one at $389.9. But the payments are made as there's construction milestones being met, or you can take advantage of developer financing, and that developer financing does not kick in until the property is delivered to you. So you don't have to pay anything. You don't have to pay any of that 40% financing until the property is delivered over to you. What I'm going to do is a quick recap of those opportunities. Well, actually, let me tell you one more. This is one more in Ambergris Caye. This is one that is move-in ready right now. It's already being rented out. It's in the rental program. So if you're somebody who just wants to jump right in, turnkey, already taken care of, already renting, then this could be an option for you. It's located within Mahogany Bay. Mahogany Bay is one of the biggest gated communities on the south side of Ambergris Caye, but it's a 2-bed, 2.5 bath with a loft, vaulted ceilings, close to school. So if you're coming down with a family, this could be a really great option for you because the school is right down the road. And as of yesterday, the developer said that he will be offering financing. So $150,000 down, and the balance will be financed over 10 years. So I can run those numbers for you if this is something that you're interested in, but just a very affordable option here for a finished home, finished product already on Ambergris Caye. It's located on the canals as well. So you do have canal access if that's something that's important to you. All right, I wanted to just run through those again. I know I tend to speak quickly sometimes, but we are recording this so you can listen to it again later. But I'm going to do a quick recap of the insider opportunities. One is Carmelita Gardens lots. So if you just want to buy and hold something right now, figure out your plan down the line, this is a great way to do it. The developer is offering financing on limited inventory with 80% financing, only 20% down is required. Second would be the riverfront home. So again, off-grid, totally off-grid, 2-bedroom, 1 bath, ready to live in, ready to rent if renting it out is important to you. This is option number 2. And again, you see the email address there at the bottom, info@lunarealtybelize.com if you are interested in learning more about it. Number 3 would be the Southern Charm. This is the 2-bedroom, 2 bath with the loft on 1/3 acre. And this one's going for $355. And then we're going to jump to Ambergris Caye. And this is perfect for the buy and hold, be in the path of progress. About $28,000 down in monthly payments of about $560 per month. Brand new condos, brand spanking new, looking over the turquoise waters. First floor going for $299 and $399. Again, number 5. Opportunity number 6 is a duplex model at the Canal Front Aruna community for $389. And then the move-in ready home at Mahogany Bay going for only $549. This one's a real steal, I think, especially with that financing there. But what I want to do is thank everybody for coming. We're going to answer our Q&As right now. And also, if you are interested in learning more, we have a ton of complimentary resources that we can email over to you on our website. We have a tab for resources, but I've been in your shoes before. I understand what it's like to look at a foreign country as a foreigner, especially for the first time, or maybe you've been looking at the country for a while now and you're starting to really, this is what you need to be kicked into gear. Totally get that too. But we do want to make sure you're educated in the buying process and understanding what it's like to own real estate here as a foreigner. So email us info@lunarealtybelize.com. We'll send you some free e-resources that'll be really important for you to review as you're going through the real estate process here. So I mentioned to you, be about 45 minutes of chatting, and we're about right on time there. And what I'm going to do is answer any questions that have come in at this point. All right. So Nepal is saying, can you compare and contrast Belize to a state in the United States, vibrancy, what do you do during the day, evening, etc. So I would say Belize is like a combination of like I would say a combination of Florida and Louisiana. And, not at all politics, right? We're taking politics out of this, but I just mean from like the Key West, Florida vibes with the beaches, but then also Louisiana because you have the bayous, you have the really good, rich food, you have culture, you have tradition, you have a lot of events that are going on. Lobster Fest is one of the big festivals that we have here. The Belize culture is very much so celebratory. So there's always a reason to celebrate something, whether it's a first birthday, whether it's an anniversary, whether it's a baby shower, whether it's the fact that you got out of work an hour early. People are celebrating and they're just enjoying life. So what do you do in the days, evenings? Oh, gosh, everyone does something different. I'm still working. So we work quite a bit, which we love doing, but otherwise the beaches, live music, getting together with friends, backgammon. I mean, there's a whole bunch of activities. It really also just depends where in the country you are, because each area feels very different. Like we were saying, Placencia tends to feel more of like the Hamptons, right? And then Ambergris Caye is more like Key West. But I would say as a whole, the country's kind of like Louisiana and Florida mixed. Awesome. Thank you so much, Nepal, for joining us. Ben is asking about the lockdown requirements and indoor masking during the pandemic. Oh gosh, I was here for it, but I do tend to block that time out. I just think it was really crazy around the entire world. Here they were just changing things every other day. So one day you'd have to wear a mask, one day you wouldn't. I mean, it was just really kind of chaotic, as I think it was in many, many places, but people have definitely adjusted. And I don't think ever want to go back to those times. So it was definitely chaotic and a little all over, but I think it was like that everywhere. Nepal saying, how large are the lots? So I'm not sure which lot you're talking about, Nepal, but I can go back to it over here. I think you might have been talking about the Carmelita Gardens ones. I think that was around the time that I was talking about that, but just feel free to chat that. So there's green lots here that start at 1/8 of an acre for 39,000. And then they go up to about 59,000 for a half an acre. So it really just depends. Those are the gardens lots. If you want to be on the river, then it ranges anywhere from about 69,000 to 89,000. So it just depends. And that's just again, depending on size, but up to half an acre. Amy, best email address for us would be info@lunarealtybelize.com, info@lunarealtybelize.com. And we can certainly get those details. I'm so happy to hear that you're planning to come down and looking at Carmelita Gardens. Let's see, how much is a square foot for opportunity number 3? Off of the top of my head, I want to say it's about 1,400 square feet, but I maybe a little bit bigger than that, but we can certainly get you those details. Just feel free to email us. Is the lot ready to build, or do we have to clean the lot? So depends on which lot you're talking about. If you're looking here in Carmelita Gardens, these are all ready to go. Now, there are some lots that have more tree density than others. So you would need to decide what you're going to be building, and then you'll have to take down the trees that are getting in the way, interfering with your home. I know we try to save as many trees as possible, but that would just really be dependent on the lot, but otherwise they're ready to build. If you're talking about here at Platinum Point, these would need to be cleared. Now there is a clearing option if you want, and the seller will finance the clearing as well for phase 2. So if you are interested in that, she'll finance the clearing and fill for you so that you can have the lot ready to go. This developer is also bringing electricity to Platinum Point directly. So you have road access and you also have electricity here at Platinum Point. Jermaine, great question. Fantastic information. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're able to join us today on short notice. He said, I know Belize is largely a cash and or seller financing market. Are there any banks in Belize that offer financing to non-Belizeans? Do you know anything about Key Bank? So yes, I actually used to work with the founder of Key Bank for about 10 years. So I'm very, very familiar with Key Bank. So Key International Bank is the only international bank here in Belize that will finance for foreigners. You do need to open up a bank account with them. And in addition to that, terms tend to be 50% down, 10-year term, 11% interest. So they will not finance on raw land. They'll finance on a property that's already completed, like a condo or a single family home. They will also do a construction loan for you. But do note there are going to be a handful of documents that they that they require. There's not really much negotiating on the rates, so the rates are set as they are. So it does tend to get a little expensive because there's a loan origination fee of about a little over 2%. Then they have monthly bank charges of about $14, $15 a month. So it can get a little expensive. What I would recommend to folks is if the seller is not willing to offer financing, then you can also get like a HELOC or line of credit from your bank at home. Or I would keep KeyBank as, it's there if you really, really need it, but there are some other ways and other options to explore too before KeyBank, but they certainly are there for foreigners. Melody, let me get that clarified. So for Runa, so 60% would be required down, and then the 40% would be that financing would start after completion of the property. Thank you so much for having me clarify that. So 60% would be down, and then 40% would be starting after the property is completed. Rachel saying, is Belize, specifically Ambergris Caye, LGBTQ friendly? Yeah, I mean, it's a Caribbean Latin American country. Here in Belize, people tend to be very literal. It's not necessarily an insult. I know in the United States, everything seems to be offensive to somebody in the United States. Here, it's not like that. And they definitely don't want you to try to change that. So, they're going to just call it out, say it like it is, say what it is. Here they'll refer to the Chinese people as the Chinos. It just is what it is. They're just saying it like it is. So it's a very literal and honest culture. And that's something I know for me that took a little bit of getting used to. My partner's very much so Belizean, and he'll say things. I'm like, you can't say that. And his first time to the States 5 years ago, I had to sit him down and say, we can't say this word. We can't say that word. You don't want to be saying this phrase. And he's like, well, why? I'm like, no, we just don't say it up here. People are very, very sensitive to things. So but yeah, people here, I'd say specifically on Ambergris Caye. Ambergris Caye is certainly the most accepting of all of Belize. I would say it tend to be the biggest area for tourism. Service is the biggest industry. So, they've seen quite a bit here. How large are the lots at Platinum Point? Platinum Point lots range from about 5,500 to about 5,800 square feet. And I can certainly get you those dimensions, Patricia. Just feel free to email us and we can get them over to you. What is the best place to dive? Oh, that's a great question. So let me come back. Ambergris Caye, I'm going to go back here to the map of the country. So Ambergris Caye is the biggest tourism destination for diving, snorkeling, and fly fishing. I think it's ranked the number 7th in the world for fly fishing here on Ambergris Caye and just Belize generally. But Ambergris Caye and Caye Caulker, we parallel the reef. You look right out of the window and the reef is 5-minute boat ride right there in front of us. We see the reef breaking, as we look out there into the distance, the very near distance. And so there's just dive sites lined up against the coastline over here. And so we tend to see this is the most popular place, Ambergris Caye, for fishing and diving. It's really what got the Belize on the map. Since the 70s, people have been coming down here for diving. And it was really like the off the beaten path adventure travelers who are coming down here. Now we tend to see more of the mainstream travelers, a lot of families. I was talking about people who are moving here, but also visiting here, vacationing. I've never seen as many babies traveling as I have, the last couple of years. I think especially with this generation of new parents, they're used to traveling. They're just going to take their kid with them and go wherever it is that they're going. So we do see that quite a bit on Ambergris Caye as well. But coming back to your question about the diving, so Ambergris and Caye Caulker tend to be where divers will come, and then they will go to Placencia as well, but the reef is further out. It's about an 1.5-hour boat ride. So if you want to be in the water quickly, and you have just tons of dive sites lining Ambergris, so this would be one of the best places for that. Manfred said, you mentioned retirement communities in Mexico, close to Mexico. Are there medical facilities in Belize? Okay, yes, good question. So within Belize, you do have medical facilities. They continue to get better every single year. Now, remember, Belize is a small country. It's about 400,000. So, they may not necessarily have an abundance of specialty doctors all throughout the country. What tends to happen is they'll congregate in Belize City. There are really, really great facilities in Belize City, Belize Medical Associates, Belize Healthcare Partners, Belize Specialists. And in Belize City is where you'll tend to find the specialty doctors, really world-class hospitals. I know Belize Healthcare Partners just did a complete renovation of their facility there. I did a whole session on medical care. Manfred, if you don't mind just emailing us, info@lunarealtybelize.com. I'll send you the link so you don't have to try to go through our YouTube channel, but I'll send that over to you to talk more about that, even just general costs, to get your teeth cleaned. It's cleaned and, everything x-rayed and ever. It's about $30 to do that. And I have go through costs in that section too, that I can certainly send over to you. You're saying, I see, if I or one were to live in the Key West area, so the Ambergris Key area, what is medical like there? Are prescription medications an issue? Yeah, so Ambergris Key, because it is the biggest tourism area and expat area for the entire country, we do tend to have more medical services here in Ambergris Key compared to other places, with the exception of Belize City. So there's a private hospital that just opened up, open 24 hours, 7 days a week. And then they just broke ground on a public hospital as well in the southern part of the island. So medical care, again, it's getting better. There's also an urgent care. The doctor is incredible. She's from the States. I did an interview with her. I'll gladly send you that link as well. But there is good care here. There is decent care, I would say. If you need anything really specialty, Mexico, Chetumal, right over the border is where we tend to go, or Merida. Or if it's something that you can plan. I know some people still have VA insurance or Medicare, or Medicaid, Medicare, I think it is that they can work with. Then, people might go back to the States for certain things, but otherwise it's certainly getting better year after year. And then prescription medications an issue? No, in fact, you really don't need prescriptions for a lot of things down here, but of course there are some things you still need them for. What I would recommend is I can give you the name of a pharmacy just to reach out to see if they have what you're looking for specifically. If they don't have that specific brand, they may have the generic one for you, but always worth checking in first, of course. Do you need a fishing license to fish, or a hunting license to hunt? So you need, if you're going to be like a guide and taking people out and fishing, you do need to have a tour license for that. But if you want to go to the end of the pier and throw your line in, that's not a problem. If you have a boat, you want to go fishing, that's fine. That's not a problem as well. I'm looking at a couple years of coming down. Ooh, what are the prices going up to? I wish I had a crystal ball there, Eric, but I can tell you, I've been here 12 years, and over the last 4 years, we've seen prices increase exponentially, in some cases 100, 200, 300%. It just depends completely on the property, on the location, what exactly it is, but we are seeing prices are raising dramatically. When I first came here in 2012, I was an intern with a real estate developer. I was making pennies. I'd go to grocery stores and compare the prices to know where to buy my eggs and where to buy my bread. So I didn't have money to be investing, but I really wish I did, because I would have been very, very happy today. But, the best thing I can recommend is, the sooner that you purchase, the better, because prices are only going up. And I'm not just saying that because I'm in real estate. It's been my personal philosophy as well with my partners. We're just picking up land, land banking, because I just don't see a way to lose when it comes to owning land, especially in an island or an area where they're not making any more of. We saw here, let me go back here to where the direct flights are coming in from. Now, this is just a handful of them, but there are more. I think once the floodgates open to Europe, we're going to be seeing even more interest in this country. Right now, a lot of Europeans tend to go to Cancun or Tulum because they have directs there instead of having layovers or going through the States or whatnot. It's just fairly challenging for not just Europeans, but a lot of people to get here. And as we can see, they've already added 3 new direct flights this year in 2024 to completely new cities that have never been direct before. So we're going to continue to see that as the country becomes more popular. So someone said, can you discuss some of the current large tourist projects coming to Ambergris Key or Secret Beach? So one of the biggest, this is for Ambergris Key, what we're referring to as the Key West. Let me come back to the map here. So where we're seeing, sorry, I'm just scrolling through. I want to get back to our map. All right, so Ambergris Key right over here. This is the primary breadwinner for the entire country with the reef. I mean, it's the bread and butter for the entire tourism realm of Belize. So we make sure that we take really good care of our reef. Being eco-friendly is something that has really been striking chords with a lot of people. But when it comes to tourism projects, I should say one of the biggest that we've seen, there are 2, but one of the biggest that we've seen over the last year is more infrastructure coming in, more roads are getting paved. It's cute for a little bit to be in the golf cart and to be going through the graded roads, but it's also a lot nicer when they're paved and we don't have to be dodging potholes. So because this does tend to be the #1 spot for tourism for the entire country, and for, of course, expats live here, we do tend to see more money going into infrastructure projects here on the island. So the roads have been a big thing, not really tourism centric, but important for tourists and also for people who will be living here, is the opening or the construction of the hospital on the southern part of the island. While we have the private hospital that opened up last year, we do have a public hospital that is being built right now. They broke ground on it a couple of weeks ago. So that's something that's really important. In addition to that, the Belize Water Services, BWS, they recently announced that they're going to be increasing, or they're going to be adding water to the north side of the island. Right now, once you go north of the bridge on Ambergris Caye, everyone is on their own water system. So they're going to be putting in infrastructure there to be able to serve the northern part of Ambergris Caye. Now, I don't know if they'll necessarily be serving Secret Beach. Secret Beach is pretty known to be off grid, but it is something for us to be following. Nothing here, I'll tell you guys this, nothing here happens quickly. A lot of it, I tend to believe it when I see it happening. And then of course, even more when it's completed. Sometimes things get started and it takes a little bit of time for them to really get traction. But I've heard stories about an international airport on the northern side of the island. I've been hearing about that for 12 years. So, again, I'll believe it when I see it. And when it's open, it would be nice. I don't know if it'll ever be international. It might be like, stop on North Ambergris Caye and then stop on South Ambergris Caye and the puddle jumpers. But, I like to tell people, when you're buying real estate, buy what you see, buy what's there now, because it may or may not happen. All right. So Patricia's saying, are there large plots of land available to farm, 2 or 3 acres? Yes, in Cayo, that would be my recommendation for farming and for agriculture. Absolutely. There are the larger acreages there. Yep. And then someone's saying, are the lots available for sale, set up with electric and water? Are they secured? And do they have HOA set up? So let me come back here. For Platinum Point does have the electricity. The developer is bringing the electricity out. And this is north of the bridge, and everything north of the bridge is on their own water. It'd be nice if BWS, like we're talking about, would service this area, but I'm not guaranteeing that. In fact, I live in an area where we just have a cistern and a water pump. And sometimes I prefer that you have the rainwater catchment system than being on public water, because public water, if it's really busy on the island, can be slow and not necessarily have great pressure. But for electricity, absolutely, it will be connected to the grid. And then there's no HOA fee here. The developer is letting people, essentially do and build what they want. But in this phase 2 area, if you can follow my cursor in phase 3 and phase 4, where you can see my cursor right over here, then in that area is where you will have planned communities. So she has floor plans 1 to 4 bedroom homes that if people are choosing these lots, then they'll have to build one of those homes. But in the area that we're talking about, phase 2, right here, you'll be looking into those homes, which is really quite nice. So, the value of your land is staying stable and increasing as these nice homes go in. But this is phase 2 right over here. Great question. Rachel is saying, is recreational marijuana legal? So weed here has been decriminalized. So you're able to have, do you remember how much you're able to have on you? I don't remember. It's 16, I think. 10. Well, you're able to have X amount with you on you without it being considered illegal. But you are able to smoke it in private areas. So it could be, if the restaurant owner permits you to be smoking weed there, then you're able to do it. But you really can't be on the street just smoking a joint. Now, I know that there is a big push. There's a lot of chatter and discussion about weed being legalized here versus decriminalized. Will it happen? Maybe over time, but we're not sure at this point. So I'm starting to see a lot of questions still come in. What I'm going to recommend, I know we allocated about an hour, and I could be here all night long. I'm telling you, talking about Belize, answering questions, but I also want to be respectful of everyone's time. We can also do a part 2 of just a Q&A if folks would like that. But what I'm going to recommend is just email us, info@lunarealtybelize.com, and we can certainly get you the details. I can send you an e-guide. We have electronic resources for you about relocating to Belize, about the buying process in Belize, about things that you need to know as foreigners. happy to email that over to folks. Just email us so I know to send it to you, info@lunarealtybelize.com. We have an incredible team here on site who here in Belize who are really dedicated to helping guide you through the process and making sure that you find the property that is right for you. So with that being said, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us this evening. We really do appreciate it. I love that we had so many people online. It's a country that I'm very passionate about, that I do indeed call home. And we do look forward to hopefully calling you a neighbor at some point soon. So thanks again, everyone. And we look forward to seeing you here in Belize. Bye-bye.